Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
Tony, if you're in danger, blink 3 times. I saw what they did to JR. Are you in danger, Tony? I heard you keep saying daddy ass on national television. Blink 3 times, Tony. What the hell was that, Nick?
Dude, look, I know you don't get it, but I love the gimmick. I love the acclaim. I love daddy ass and, scissor me daddy ass. I think it's fucking hilarious, and it is what it is, dude. But, yeah, so, and look, as much, I know you don't listen to
He never said daddy ass in WCW.
Well, that's because daddy ass wasn't there.
He never got a run in the territory. He never been through for a hot dog and a handshake.
No. And here's my thing. I don't think you because you don't listen to Tony's podcast a lot. Tony is and look, and I say this because I love everything about the podcast. I think it's hilarious. But it is some of the most immature sophomoric humor on there, so it doesn't.
Oh, it always has been. I enjoy it.
I am all cool and I am all down for that. So I'm all about it. So, but yeah, so scissor me, daddy ass. But anyway,
get well soon to JR.
Yeah, and that's the more serious part,
Please, whoever is, stop hitting him. I don't know who he's married to at the time. That's his wife died. That's right. So whoever he's seeing at the time, and also
the Blue Chew is strong in that one. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh, he poked himself in the eye.
Oh, is it good? I wasn't even thinking about that. I was going.
I'm gonna tell you,
out, kid.
The last time I messed around with that stuff, I wound up with a bunch of men in a pink sheet dragging me out of my house buck naked.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, they were EMTs, and I just had a massive seizure.
You might want to clarify.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, of course, I could have. No, I'm never mind.
Anyways,
but speaking of the greatest broadcast team in history besides us, JR, his booth mate, Jerry the King Lawler, also had a stroke.
Yeah, man. Look, I was talking to somebody the other day just about how old we are getting, and we're not realizing, like, as you age, like the people that that we grew up on, they're ahead of us and they're aging even more so. And it's just sad. It is because
we're reaching the point where I just thought. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I thought we were reaching the point where our heroes were dying. As you hit 50, your heroes start dying every day. Every time you open up social media, someone you watched on television, someone you listened to, their music, someone you watched them wrestle, are gone. Enjoy your youth, people. Enjoy your youth.
The youth is wasted on the young, is the old saying.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what, Myron, you know what's not wasted?
What's that?
That is your money. If you join up and become a member over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com. Look, the handle on there is @TappedOutPod, because why wouldn't it be? That's what it is everywhere. Or you can just search Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Go straight to us. Sign up. Like I said, hey, look, if nothing else, like the page, subscribe, turn your notifications on, so every time we release something, you'll get it. But the member stuff behind that, now that it's kind of out there, people know, hey, we've got a contributor. Hey, did you like his name? Dude, that was pretty cool.
Yes, I love that a lot.
Yeah, the Midnight Rider, not writer, writer, sending in some stuff. And he was doing stuff every couple days, and I kind of like pushed back a little bit. And I was like, hey, why don't you go down to like every 3 days maybe? So he was like, okay, cool. I'll backpedal up and I'll start, putting some stuff out every, 3 days or so.
I'm not going to give the guy's identity away, but they're a pretty well respected internet writer. So I'm glad we've got him on board.
Yeah, we've had in the past some people like dive in head first and they burn out because they get and so I was kind of like, look, just take your time and just slow down and send them in every few days and I'll put them up. It's okay.
Yeah.
And listen, look, to be honestly, because I pushed back, there's like 3 in the can right now as I record, like that are coming out. So it's just they're scheduled, they'll be released and that kind of stuff. But if you're not a member, I would say you have no idea what I'm talking about. But to kind of put it out there, I did put the Muta, the 10 Muta matches. You know, it was his favorite 10 Muta matches. And he put them out there in that article. I did share that with the public kind of to see, but it's not just list articles. It's also articles about other things. I know, see, I can't even keep it in my head. I know there's one either coming out or is out about, like he kind of wrote an article about like AEW's potential future and what they could do to make sure they last long term, kind of put that kind of ideas out there and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
A really big pile of cocaine.
Well, that's something else. That's a whole other thing. But do you want to do something different and lead with the AEW talk?
I'm going to lead with the AEW talk. Oh, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Let's dive head first into, listen, there's nothing else that's probably going to be bigger news this week, good, bad, or indifferent, than the return of CM Punk on Collision. Full disclosure, we are literally recording about an hour after, about an hour after it ended, because of some road trip stuff that I'm about to do tomorrow. Yes. So he's back. Let's start there, Myron. Share your thought. He's back. He's on television, and he cuts his promo. So what
I
go ahead and shit all over him, because I know that's what you do.
No. I have to give Punk some credit. Actually, I'll give him a lot of credit, and I want everyone to write down that I never said this in case someone ever accuses me of saying this. One thing I have to give Punk is when he cuts a promo, you really feel like he believes what he's saying. He had me, even if I didn't know he'd fought this guy, or I didn't know this, or I didn't know that, Punk really did have me convinced he didn't like those guys. And he didn't give a damn what anybody thought. And he was the guy coming back, and he was going to run them out of, and it felt like an old wrestling promo where they honestly were going to whoop somebody's ass and they're going to drive. I bought it.
Byron,
I bought it. What?
Is that it work? Or is it shit?
Oh, shoot. Is it work? Is it shit? What did that guy call me? He called me a backdoor booker. What did he call me? He called me
I cannot believe, by the way.
Backdoor booker. Have you done any backdoor booking, Nick?
Pause. I'm going to pause. Well, wait. Pause. Your handle on Twitter, and I said this to somebody the other day. They're like, is he serious? I was like, his Twitter handle is Myron the Mark. Like, come on. Like, do you think he really takes himself that seriously? And they're like,
I constantly do jokes where I'm the butt of them. I shaved my head with a Manscaped razor as an attention stunt because they're a sponsor. See the little flag above me? Okay. I've done lots of stupid stunts to draw attention to myself to promote what we do here.
Yeah.
I'm always pulling jokes on myself. If people think I'm serious about anything, it's one of those things. Oh, I'll change. It's not even change the rules, change the game. I'll just make something up different the next week.
My favorite thing, Myron, is I always tell people all the time. I stole it from a line in a movie, and I think it's gold to this day. By the way, my wife does not love this movie. She's sick of seeing it because I've watched it a million times. It's Don't Take Life So Serious. You'll never get out alive.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Anyway, so I'll unpause, go back, and we're back on the CM Punk's conversation.
I enjoyed the promo. I didn't know what he had in the bag. You had to tell me what he had in the bag. I didn't get that part.
What's in the bag?
I was paying attention. What's in the bag? I thought it was a snake.
You thought he had, he had a python or something in there.
I thought he had a python in this bag. That's what you bring out to the ring when I was a kid. You had a bag, you had a snake, for Christ's sake. I don't know.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Here's the thing. People I can't remember who I was going back and forth with about my opinions on CM Punk. I've said it, like, I can't tell you how many times I've said it on the show. I think he's overrated. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the promo. I thought it was a really good promo. I've always said I thought he was a really good promo. Do I think is he a great wrestler? No, I think he's a really good wrestler. Is he a great promo? He has great promos. Yes, I will say that. Is he one of the best in the world of all times? I don't think so, but hey, guess what? Just because I'm not buying a ticket, which hold on, I'm gonna correct myself. This is how serious we take ourselves. Am I buying a ticket to CM Punk? Absolutely not. But while my wife was cutting my hair out on the back patio, I took my phone out there because I said I want to see this promo live. So you sucked me in. You got me to watch it live. Everything else I watched later and on delay. It wasn't like and so that's, by the way, it's the greatness of what they did. They hyped it enough and they sucked me in enough that I wanted to watch it live. My concern doesn't change in the sense of when I say, let's see where they are 6 months from now, because I didn't feel the need to watch the rest of the show live. So I want to see, by the way, we don't care about ratings, right? That's our thing. We don't like, oh my God, what rating? We do, but we don't. I'm eager to see like the quarter, like do they, like, let's say, by the way, you know what? Pause. Number 2. We don't really give a care. Like, I'm not judging them. What do you think? Because this drops Monday at noon. We may or may not know at that point.
I don't know by then because I read the internet.
I don't think they're out though. I don't think the number. I don't think.
I'll know by then.
I don't think the final numbers are out by then. So my question would be, if we have the answer or not, what do you think they end up with? Look, on Dynamite, God, on any given week, they're between 750, 800 to, they haven't touched 1 million in a while, but, so somewhere between 8 and 950, kind of their normal. Rampage, I think, has gotten back up into that 450-ish, 500 range, maybe. That shows, again, how much we pay attention to ratings now, because I don't have a lot of stock in them. But I'm just curious, what do you think they pull for Collision?
It will be under 1 million.
Oh,
it won't be on the high. It will be, sorry, I rephrase that. It will be 859.
I hope I'm wrong. I think you're because again, like, when's the last time we tracked anything that aired on a Saturday? So it's kind of, that's what somebody was asking me.
No, like, you never get ratings on pay-per-views, or sorry,
right.
PPs,
PLEs, or AEW pay-per-views for that matter. But my point being, I don't know what a good number for Saturday is, for a wrestling show. Because you can't say like, oh, well, such, now the benefit, by the way, the big perk of it all was the NBA Finals is over and the Stanley Cup Final is over.
Yeah.
So you don't have that competition anymore. So if that demographic is home, if they stay home and watch, I think you're going to capture. The problem is I don't know that core will all stay home on a Saturday night to watch it live. I think, me personally, I'm going to guess 700,000. Somewhere in that range.
Wow. Now I'm totally going with new car syndrome, new car, what do you call it?
New car
feel on this whole thing, new car smell. I think that's going to help them a lot, because everybody was telling me how great it was and everybody was watching it on the social media that I saw. But then again, my social media is predominantly wrestling people and wrestling fans.
Well, and that's kind of the point, though. They're not out typically on a Saturday night. They're watching pay-per-views, whatever, or who knows. It's not saying much. I mean, hell. Anyway, I'll give you my spiel for the Flash at the very end of the show. I'll go over. I went and saw the Flash yesterday. I told you about it beforehand. By the way, I'm going to spoil the shit out of it. So if you don't want to listen to the end of the show, I'll warn you again when I'm going to do that. So keep that in mind. So
you did something on a Friday night.
Well, actually, I went at like 1:40 in the afternoon on a Friday, but that's a different story.
So you're, and it doesn't matter if you do anything on a Saturday night either, is what you're telling me.
No, I mean, because here we are. Hey, look, we're here. We are. But now, look, wait. I had the family over today, so they were here late. So, But here's the thing. That's why I wasn't as concerned. Dude. We're literally talking about cutting off live TV. We watch everything on demand to the point that literally like a serious conversation going. I don't even know that we need live television anymore.
I was at the AT&T store yesterday or the day before, and the guy was trying to turn in a phone, which apparently is harder to do than buying a house. And the guy's like, "I see you had DirecTV." I'm like, "Yeah, I had it." So you got to try it again? I said, "No, I've got YouTube TV now. I like it. I don't need TV at all." But the wife keeps insisting we have TV. She wants it really, and I can't tell her any different. So it's okay. I said, but then again, we have enough streaming services. So the television and all the streaming services add up to more than I ever paid for cable.
Yeah.
In the first place, when it was like $250 a month. Yeah. Well, I know I probably get altogether. What do you think? 100, 125 on all that shit when you put it together?
It depends on what all you have. I mean, Netflix is $20. You don't pay for
Max, I've got every one of them.
Prime Video, you're not paying because it's part of your Prime. See, that's what people don't take into account. Like when you have this free, that free. Disney's $7 roughly a month. I don't think you are. I don't like your YouTube TV is only what, $69?
Yeah.
70. You're honestly probably barely 120 if you're lucky. I mean, if it's that high. Because a lot of them you get for free, and here's the funny story. You want me to make you laugh? This, by the way, if you're a wrestling fan, I'm sorry, because this is the shit that makes me laugh on a daily basis. That I like. This is a podcast. This is our show before we hit record. I'm an asshole, for the record. My wife pointed out I was being a dick because I said to her, I was shuffling. We have Apple TVs in all of our rooms. That's what we use to stream. I was taking the Discovery Plus app and moving it to the bottom. She's like, "Why are you moving it to the bottom?" And I'm like, "Because we don't use it anymore. Now that it's Max, everything that we watch on there is over on the Max, so we don't use it anymore." But I go through the Discovery and you know what I did, Myron? I went click and hit on the app, and it basically informed her that we were not subscribed to that anymore. And I said, "And when's the last time you did it? Because that was canceled 3.5 weeks ago." And it was pointed out how much of a dick I was being. That was a dick move.
I did something very similar. I can't argue with you. Well, I was for some reason I was sitting on the couch and I had the tank of the toilet sitting on a tray table in front of me, and I was trying to repair it because
that's the place to do it. Yeah,
that's the place to do it because I took it in the shower with me and cleaned it all out because it was full of rust. So I'm sitting there working on the toilet, and I put the piece in. And it went through, and it reminded me of my ex-wife because it jiggled and I couldn't get the thing to hold. I said, "This is too small. I can't make this work." And my wife looks over and says, "What do you mean? I'm sure if you try that, you're not doing it right." And so the whole time, knowing I had been doing it right, I put it all back in and reassembled it in front of her so she could see I knew what I was doing. And knowing I wasn't going to bother to argue or tell her. I was going to make her watch me reassemble everything to show her that she couldn't fix the problem. And then she got madder than hell at me. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, dick move.
So much.
Speaking of dick moves, let's get back to Punk's promo. Let's get back to that because we're going to go long if we don't. So Punk, again, I enjoyed it. I know you did. Everything, yes. Look, we went over the numbers. You think, what, 800,000-900,000? I'm going 700,000.
Yeah.
Until we know what a Saturday wrestling number looks like, it's kind of hard to guesstimate.
Well, there's not been wrestling in the modern era on Saturday.
What's a panic number? Like, by the way, they're not going to do this. I don't think there is. But what would be a panic number for you?
350.
See, yeah, there's no way they go that low. My
But
argument
that's
is,
a panic number.
I do think it's a. Oh fuck yeah, that's a panic. Here's the thing. I think 500,000 and under is a concern number for AEW. If it was 350, that's a fucking concern number for Warner Brothers Discovery, in my opinion. They're probably going like, "What the fuck did we do?"
I see rumors. Well, Tony Khan is buying his TV time, and Tony Khan is just going to buy WB.
Okay, A, that's not going to happen because it's too big of a company because it's Warner Brothers Discovery. But anyway, 2, here's the other fucked up part. I come back to the realization that I came to was if Tony Khan is paying for the television, he's not. But if he was, that's his business.
He's running an infomercial. He's running an infomercial for Indy Wrestling.
If he's just running his company, and he doesn't give a shit about how it's a hobby, and he doesn't care how much money he makes, that's his business. It's not ours. If it was a publicly traded company, it'd be somebody's business, but it ain't. So I always tell people when they get, I don't give a shit. When it comes to, now, there are arguments like, well, if he says we made money, okay, that's a different argument. Then I would love for you to prove me that you made money. All right, let's move on. Other big news from AEW this week. Something that we both were jacked about. Chris Jericho and Sting face to face. First time ever.
That's wild. That's like a childhood thing that you never thought you'd see. That is my generation of wrestling fans. Fantasy booking, backdoor booking, whatever these people want to call that. I don't know the catchphrases for everything now.
Nostalgia.
Wow.
How about that? It's just nostalgia. And you know what that does these days? It sells.
It sells.
Yeah.
The entire world is based on nostalgia now. You look at these damn Funkos and shit like that I buy. Look at the comic books. That division of Tapped Out Collectibles right there. Jesus Christ, folks. If you've never trusted anybody in the collectibles business before, trust Nick McDaniel. He's the guy that you can trust. And it's amazing.
It is. But you know what I think the magic of this sauce can be? I'm hoping, and I'm assuming this is where they're going, because Jericho basically was telling Sting to stay out of his business. I'm hoping that a Jericho-Sting feud sucks in like Sammy Guevara or Daniel Garcia or not. Yeah, and then I'm sorry, I had to pause. I'm like, did I have the right guy? I was like, did I say that? And then Darby Allin. So maybe it's a great opportunity to help elevate them even more just in their association with each other and feuds with each other. So that's kind of what I'm hoping happens out of it.
The rub is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, give them a good rub. And but hopefully I think this the two of those. By the way, Jericho versus Sting. Will it be a Meltzer 5-star? No. I don't think it will be. But you know what? Also, I don't give a shit. It doesn't need to be. Just make it a good match with some psychology and some, just be solid, and I'm okay with that. That's all I need. That's all I think. Anyway,
I don't have a 5-star rating system for quality of matches. I have a rating system for the match I enjoyed. To me or the show I enjoyed. If you can entertain me,
I really liked it, and I loved it.
Yeah, or I'm not talking about it.
Right.
I'll talk about something I enjoyed, or it's
anyway.
Whatever.
So lots of cool stuff. AEW. Look, that's the first time we've I think led off with AEW in a long time. I would love to know what you people think. All you listeners, fans, friends, all that good stuff. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. What did you think of the Punk return on Collision? It's going to be hard not to say Dynamite for a minute, isn't it? Because I almost said it. But by the way, just real quick, no long answers. Did you like that set? I actually dug it. Actually, I did like it.
Oh yeah, the Elton John intro was cool as shit too.
Yeah. So, but I did like at least they made it look different. I was deathly afraid it was going to be the same entrance, like everything was going to look like Dynamite, and it wasn't going to be different. At least it's a little different. So kudos, and I appreciate that part.
Yeah.
Now let's segue over into the WWE. Lots of stuff going on. We finally figure out, which we knew we were getting there. Seth Rollins, by the way, is anybody doing as good a job as him as the working champion, the workers champion?
No.
Like just all these matches he's going to have like within a week.
Yeah.
It's like bananas.
Yeah.
But we find out he's going to wrestle Finn Balor. Here's what I love. The callback to the first crowning of the Universal Champion, I got better, you got bitter. I mean, just stuff like that.
Yes.
I mean, God forbid, Myron, there was a fucking story there, and we didn't just pretend that it never happened. We're actually going to run with it. I mean, God forbid. Those are the improvements, and that's what I keep pointing out to people. I didn't say, look, I'm not saying this is the greatest story. I'm just saying it's really cool to see using something that's there and not just acting like it didn't happen and just plowing forward like with where we're at now.
I'm enjoying it. To me, Seth Rollins is really the highlight of Raw. It's a program based on quality wrestling for the most part. Seth Rollins is a quality promo. He's drawing all the fans, and they won't shut up with that damn singing, which can be cool. It's entertaining, and it also shuts the heels up. Liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I'm worried that KO and Sammy will wear themselves out, appearing on 2 shows every week, but they're doing a phenomenal job. I fairly satisfied with Raw. There's a bit in the middle that drags, but
it's 3 hours. I mean,
I know
it sounds like monotonous to say like week in, week out. You're like, dude, it's 3 hours. Like,
I discovered
a lot of time.
You know what I discovered this week? I was going back and watching the Star Wars movies, what they call 1 through 3 and 7 through 9. Those movies are 2.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the hell? Most movies now are like an hour and a half tops.
No, dude, so Flash talk later. I watched, Thursday night, I rented John Wick 4. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
What?
And you know what? You'll enjoy every minute of it, especially if you like the violence from the John Wick movies. That movie is, I feel like that movie it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. There's 2 hours and 25, 30 minutes of killing. That's what it felt like. I was exhausted. There was that much like killing and shooting and fighting, and I was like, Jesus. I was like, I was ready. I went to bed, laid down. I was like, I was out. It just wore me out. It's a great movie, by the way. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to go into depths on that one. That one I really, really enjoyed, but I'm a big fan of that series. And no, folks, I get this all the time. It was not a comic book first. Everybody's like, oh, it just screams it was a comic book. No, it was not. That's something they made that movie. So they just made the movie. So anyway, you were talking about Raw, and I wanted to ask you, because we had a conversation beforehand about championships. World Championships, WWE Championship.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I have actually tried to write this down on a piece of paper to figure this out. What in the hell is going on? There were 3 championship belts a little while ago. Now there's 2, but Paul Heyman still carries? What the hell? There were 3 championship belts on Roman's Friday night.
Yes, so kind of, sort of. That's kind of the running joke,
okay,
right?
Draw me and then Asuka has a new one, and Rhea Ripley has a new one, and they look like the other ones?
This I do want to know people's opinion. I know a lot of people crapped on the belts, and first of all, I'm going to backpedal up and say this. Now, there's a world championship for the men and the women. They look, I don't want to say similar, they look really, they're basically the same belt, but you have a women's and a men. That would be Rhea, and that is be Seth on Raw. Then there's a WWE Championship. Basically, obviously, we saw the new one they gave Roman. It's very goldish, whatever. Asuka's looks basically identical, kind of the same thing.
Okay.
So there is that. two things. One, look, I get the crapping on it, and they look the same. From a branding aspect, I completely understand it. I also do like. There's something I really like about it. This is the part that Myron was like, "What? What?" I was like, I kind of do like the fact that now, because they're going to do another draft next year, right? Clearly, they'll probably do it or whenever. God, they may not make it a year. But when they do another draft, you don't have to worry about Asuka's the SmackDown champion, Rhea's the women's champion. My God, the Raw champion got drafted to SmackDown. What are we gonna do? No, now it's just the world, the women's champion. She's now on SmackDown, and the WWE women's champion is on Raw. We don't have to fuck with that. Like they got to swap belts. No, none of that shit. It's just the belts can move around a whole lot easier. Here's my thing. My take is it's a short-term shit reaction. Like people just pushing back and like shitting all over it. But like, listen, it'll go away. If you don't believe me, ask Gunther about Walter. We don't even talk about that anymore. We've moved on.
No.
So this will move on, and I think long term it helps them not having to worry about branded titles getting moved around and bouncing around and all that kind of shit.
Yes. I'm glad about that because that was confusing. And the new belt for Roman,
from my
looks
understanding,
like the old belts.
Yeah,
but it's
kind of So Roman
enough that it won't be like unrecognizable to people who don't follow the wrestling business. Because is that not what they want? Is they want to be able to hand that belt out?
That belt will, because people are like, oh, I like this. Okay, that belt ain't going nowhere because when the Nuggets won the NBA championship, first thing I saw was WWE is going to issue them a WWE championship belt. You're like, no shit. Because you know why? Because it's got their logo all over it. That's why that belt's not going anywhere. Because it's blatant. Even that world title that Seth has, the WWE logo is a little bit kind of more conspicuous and hidden a little bit. It's there. I know what you're thinking, but it doesn't blatantly jump out at you at like the other.
Yeah, it's big goldish with a WWE centered in it, not a giant
exactly.
One.
And and then look, this is what I've read, and I don't look. If I'm inaccurate, please feel free to call me. I don't care. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. From my understanding, is Roman is still called the WWE the Undisputed Universal Champion. The WWE lineage is kind of like halted in the sense of when Roman loses, because at some point, folks, even though it doesn't feel like it, at some point Roman will lose his championships. From my understanding, the Universal title is essentially just going to go away. Like Roman will be the last Universal champion for now, because they could always bring it back if they felt like it. The WWE Championship will be basically the lineage of the one that, Backlund and Morales and Hogan and all those champions in front held. So whoever beats him will get that belt. By the way, when I read that, you know what I said? That's the belt Cody wants. He don't want that universal
one his dad
belt.
Never got, right?
That's the one his dad. That's the lineage. So I'm like, okay, you've just opened the box for what I needed to know about how Cody still at some point will become that champion. He doesn't want that belt. As much as anybody doesn't want to hear it, he don't want that Seth belt. He wants that WWE belt. And he's going to get it. So the Universal belt will go away, and then Roman's WWE Championship, the new belt, will become like the new belt, and the other two that you're used to seeing that Paul Heyman carries around will go away. So that's the kind of cool part. I like that. I do like that, by the way.
But they've consolidated them now.
Yeah. Technically, there's one, but Paul's going to carry those two because it looks good. Does it not look better?
No, I don't want to see the damn other two. You gave him one. I need it to be simple. He's the
tribal chief, Myron. He's a tribal chief. He's got to have all that gold around him. That's my take on it. So,
well, now that's all changed. Jesus Christ. That was the best 15 minutes of wrestling television all week. I don't care what you say about the CM Punk promo.
Yeah. So, what's the tribal chief of at this point? Him and Solo? That's a lonely, lonely island of relevancy right now.
I can't even say that right.
yeah, so I mean, look, Paul Heyman's the wise man. Listen, I'm with you. That whole back and forth, selling Jay, like he's the chosen one. He's going to be the next tribal chief, just not yet. They've been grooming him for years. Oh, we've been at it for 3 years, trying to get you ready. It's just not your time yet. Blah blah blah.
Trying to turn him on his brother.
Look, you know how it works. When even I got hooked for a second when he was like, well, when you were picked as the right hand, there was only one person who objected, and that was Jimmy. And I was like, oh shit! I thought they gonna go sideways on me and throw me for a loop. But they did not, of course, and we clearly now, the super kick from Jay to Roman, and then Jimmy to Solo, and then the double to Roman. We are officially getting. Is it the end of the official end of the Bloodline? Is it when they face each other, or is it super kicks that we saw? But we're getting it at Money in the Bank.
Oh no! Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. This is not going to end. They're going to drag, and I don't blame them, and I want them to do it. I want them to milk this cow every drop they can get out of it.
So here's the thing, though, Myron. I sat there a minute ago and said, that's Cody's got to get that belt. How messed up is it to me, though? There's a part of me that feels like, I don't know. If
you don't know,
if
your ass better call somebody.
Jay is the next chosen one. Jay was the tribal chief. Jay has to be the one to take down the current tribal chief.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if he does, it doesn't matter who Cody faces.
No, that's where I'm going. I'm not saying Cody doesn't end up with it eventually. I'm just wondering, does Cody the one who beats Roman? I don't know that now. Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell. I would love to know. I think, you know what? I might put a Twitter poll up. Who should be the one to defeat? Like, who should we choose? It's got to be Cody. Is it Cody, Jimmy, Jay, or Solo? Or other? Insert other. Yeah, Paul's going to beat him. There you go. But hey, look, let's keep it going. Let us know, like, what would your suggestions be? We might put that poll up later in the week. Who should defeat, him going forward? We'll figure that part out and put that poll up. Money in the Bank. I want to discuss it. We finally kind of have the final 6, I guess, who are going to be in it. How about next week we'll do a full predictions for the entire card.
Yes.
But we'll give some rough ideas in the sense of there's 3 guys I think can win it, and there's 2 that I think are really, if I was put to the test right now, there was only 2 names in it that I think could.
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm excited about this because there's a booking favorite, which I've noticed I've started figuring out lately. There's a booking favorite. There's a guy you want, like an emotional favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a guy that you can, it's maybe your backup. Like if something happens, you can see him taking it.
Well, look,
I don't know.
The betting odds are out there right now. And for some reason, the betting odds say LA Knight is the favorite to win.
Yeah. He'd be my favorite.
Look, I'm saying he was one of my 2 that I'd put on my list. I have somebody else that I might choose instead, but we'll figure all that. Maybe we'll do that next week. We'll go down, like I said, match by match, because we'll have more of the card too by then. Yeah. Hopefully. So, probably we have the whole card by now, to be honest with you. Yeah. And maybe we'll do something special with that when we cut that episode as well. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a good, solid card. I mean, it's going to be an enjoyable pay-per-view. It's always good to live in a time where they're cranking out wonderful wrestling, wonderful pay-per-views.
Well, Myron, it's in London. It's going to be a hot crowd, so I'm excited about
those. That's one of those things, man. Getting to see these overseas crowds and how much they enjoy it. That's awesome. But we need, as American fans, we need to pick this shit up, folks. Come on now, let's pick this up a notch. I think we can do it. I think we can make America not great again. Make America cheer again. Okay, whatever. So what were you thinking about next, Nick? What were you thinking about next? We didn't go to indie shows this weekend. Action had a good one, but we were
Actually,
all
that's
busy
what
with other
I do want to
stuff.
talk about that a little bit. Listen, we brought it up last week. AC Mack had his last Southern Honor match, and then he was last match at Southern Fried, and then basically at Action he kind of officially announced he's walking away from wrestling. Look at it, we knew obviously, but it was kind of like still heartbreaking. Still,
Yeah.
Look, I put out a post on social media that selfishly I hate to see him leave, but for every reason given. Don't fault him for the reasons. Don't fault him for the decision. And just like I said, it's just he's one of those good guys. Look, I think I might have referenced this on another thing too. We booked him. Like, I couldn't have imagined running it when we ran Hell Freezes Over. Couldn't even imagine having that show without AC Mack on that card.
No.
Like, it wasn't even an option. Like, it was literally one of the first matches discussed. That was one of the first ones discussed. And here's the sucky part. We made jokes about it, like, hey, if we go 10 years, are we going to run another one? And I was like, all right, if we make it 10 years, probably we'll do it again. I don't want to run a show without AC Mack on it.
No.
That'll be the crappy part. So
yeah, having to run a show without him is kind of like taking a major component out of your car.
Like, I really wanted to run I wanted to run the rematch. I wanted Mack to have a shot anyway against Slim J. So anyway, but yeah, so that'll be tough. So Matt, keep a date open if in 3 years.
Hell, you're a nice guy anyway, so hang out with us at a show or something
like that. We'll have him be the mic guy. He'll work the mic.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was cool because, like, look, we saw lots of people putting out articles, lots of people look, he made Wrestling Inc. Like, when we were talking about the impact that he made, I mean, being IWTV World Champion, highest ranked independent wrestler, in the PWI 500. All of that says literally you're the best independent wrestler in the world. So it's cool to see, like I said, even the major, and you say that without all of the major websites, picking it up and going with it and kind of showing, giving him some love and showing him giving him his flowers on the way out. That was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah.
So
great guy. Great guy. Couldn't be a nicer person in the business.
Yeah, and that's few and far between, man, these days. That's few and far between. So, all of that being said, made something super easy this week. One of our favorite segments going out that we're running through, the Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yes.
Shirt of the week. Look, dude's going to he's stepping away from wrestling. But for now, he still has a store on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Oh, yeah.
Go over to AC Mack's store. Obviously, it'll be in the show notes. We'll share it on social media. Go over there. He's got 3 shirts up there, I believe. This one's one of my favorite ones that he's had. But look, on the way out, if you had love for Mack, you're saying, oh man, we hate to see you go. Go buy the shirts. Go support Mack on his way out, and that, I just think that'd be a cool little sign to show him the love on the way out, man. AC Mack, Pro Wrestling Tees, shirt of the week. Go over there and look, buy 1, buy 2, buy all 3.
Oh, yeah. And pick up your Tapped Out shirts. It's continually one of the best sellers they have in the podcast category.
So, I mean, all of that.
I'll make up all kind of shit.
Yeah, Myron's just, he's shoveling shit, right? But where we shovel a lot of shit, Myron, over on the YouTube channel. We talked about it earlier. We always tell you, make sure you're liking, subscribing, turning your notifications on. Become a member. That's where the Midnight Writer, all of the new articles are coming out over there on Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, or the handle, if it makes it easier, at Tapped Out.
And he has never had a dusty finish.
Never. But listen, look, we know some people are still the old school. I'm always amazed. Like, I thought once we went to YouTube, like, a lot of that audience transitioned. But look, there's still a lot of people, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia. Look, Myron loves Amazon Music. He loves the Amazon podcast thing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, man. If you're dedicated and you're listening to there, make sure you're subscribing. Give us a 5-star rating and review. We greatly appreciate it, man. Because look, it's keeps us going week in and week out. So anyway, What else, man? Like anything else we got this week? Oh yes,
No.
I promised something.
What's that?
I made sure I saved enough time. Spoiler alert for Flash. I get it.
Oh.
I'm telling you again. This is the look. This is the end of the podcast. There ain't no more wrestling. If you don't want to hear, like, you love how I'm trying to disclaim this out, right?
Yes.
If you don't want to hear anything about the movie, go ahead and tap out. This is the moment where you're going to tap out.
Yeah.
Go ahead and stop it. Don't listen to the end, because we're going to talk about Flash, and then we're going to go off the air. So I'm full disclosure. I don't think I can give you any more warnings. If you don't want to hear the ending of the movie,
get out.
Leave. Yeah, we love you, but step out.
Thank you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Fuck you. Bye. Exactly. So, okay, look, was the movie great? No, it was not. But as I pointed out to somebody, I said, listen, this movie could have been dog shit. I would have been entertained by it because I love time travel. I love comic book movies, and I actually like DC, believe it or not. There aren't many. Justice League's one of my favorites, and that's why that whole top row is filled. Anywho, the cameos and shit were off the chart. By the way, I told you when we discussed a little bit earlier, the final 15, 20 minutes of the movie was enough for me. Look, I'm not spoiling anything telling you that Michael Keaton was Batman in it. He was actually the Batman in it more than anybody. Translate what I just said. He was Batman in that movie more than anybody else. Ben Affleck was Batman in the beginning of the movie.
So you're saying there's two Batman in the movie?
But,
no. There could be more than two.
This is a spoiler field. At the end, after the movie's over, he goes back. He kind of fixes everything. And I'm going to go completely out of order because Myron's asking me this question. He calls Bruce Wayne at the end of the movie. Everything's, the timeline's fixed. Hey, Bruce, maybe sometime. And he's like, oh, I'm pulling up right now. Crowd, the door opens up. Everybody's clearly it's Bruce Wayne, blah, blah, blah. Crowd parts open. George Clooney. So 3 Batman in the movie. The concerning part was, wait, does that mean George Clooney's the Batman going forward? Because he was the one at the end of the movie when it went off. So that's cool. That was not the coolest shit in the whole movie, by the way. I will not go down the rabbit hole of why there were 2 Flashes, 2 Barry Allens in this story. If you'll figure that out. The funnest thing of it all is at the very end of the movie, essentially the multiverses, the different Earths, the infinite Earths, are crashing into each other because he's fucked up the timeline so bad. But then you see a glimpse of all these other Earths. And you see some of the coolest shit. I goosebumped myself, by the way. You see George Reeves, black and white Superman. Dun, da, 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 walking out on the balcony, standing with that classic pose of his.
Wow.
Then you see the top of the roof. And you see the Superman flying down in the shadows, and it comes in, and the light opens up. It's Christopher Reeves. And then beside him flies down. Do you remember the blonde that played Supergirl when we were young?
Yeah.
She flies down beside him. Now, other Batman, they had the Adam West Batman for a second. You could see, you hear the Joker laughing, etc. Okay, this, by the way, what I'm about to tell you is the smallest fucking niche crowd that's going to get this. Did you ever see the Superman Nicolas Cage documentary? There was going to be a movie called Superman.
I know what you're talking about. I never saw the documentary, though.
Okay. So there's a story, by the way, also that Kevin Smith told. I don't know if you're also...
a really jacked up costume in that movie, right?
Yes. Well, when they did Superman Lives, Kevin Smith was brought in as like a writer, like to write up a script for it. And he went through and they gave him this is the director was like, hey, this is what I want. And it was this, and it was this, and it was like, and I want a Thangarian snare monster. So basically, it's a fucking spider. It's a giant spider.
Okay.
And Kevin Smith was kind of like a spider, dude? He's like, it's a Thangarian snare beast or whatever the fuck. So anyway, so you go through this whole thing. And so, by the way, guy ends up, he actually, I think, directed Wild Wild West. What's the big monster at the end? It's the giant metal fucking spider. Remember that they wrote out?
Yeah.
Anyway. So, anyway, pan back to the Flash.
You ain't going to tell me he wrote Return of the Jedi, too, are you?
No. Okay. And what's the coolest thing, you see into this one world, and there's a giant spider with a red eye, like, coming down, and, like, the red eyes and shit. And then all of a sudden, you see Superman come flying in, and he fucking turns around, and it's fucking Nicolas Cage. Superman Lives has a little bit of a cameo in this fucking movie. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, but again, if you don't know the Superman Lives documentary, you don't know the Kevin Smith stories, like that, some people are kind of like, all right, that's cool. But I'm like, I just literally was like, oh my God, that was like the fucking wildest shit. I was like, that they actually bothered to put this in here. Again, is it a great movie? I'm not going to stand here and lie to you because I don't rate movies on scales to 10, stuff like that. But I was entertained and I was enjoyed. And look, I don't regret spending my $10 because, by the way, if you're a Woodman member, you can buy your Regal movie tickets for like $9.75. But that's a whole different story. You don't have to pay full price for them. Anyways, so yeah.
Was that kid from the TV show in there?
No.
Not as an alternate Flash or anything?
Mm-mm.
How about Stephen Amell?
Mm-mm.
I did not realize they just canceled the Flash show recently.
Oh, this was the current season was the last one.
I didn't even know it was still running.
Yeah.
I lost track of it. I love that show.
Mm-hmm. That's Byron. See, that's the problem. I was telling Rachel, like, I used to watch it like every Tuesday.
Yes.
And now I don't. You know why? But I could sit there and watch it like, I could just watch it whenever, on demand or whatever, that type of stuff. By the way, I wasn't even aware. Do you realize you could stream Fox in Atlanta? Like, you could stream Fox 5 Atlanta with no subscription to anything. There's an app called Fox Now because Rachel was worried about, I got to watch football and the Cowboys play on Fox. And I'm like, well, first of all, they ain't going to be on TV much anyway because they suck. But I was like, but if they were on TV, it'd probably be Fox. We already have Peacock, so the Sunday night game would have it anyway. The Thursday night game's on Prime Video, which we fucking have. So basically, you're worried about the NBC game on Saturday. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, look. And I downloaded the app and showed her. I'm like, ta-da, we can watch Fox Live. You don't have to have a service at all. Anyway, point being.
I apologize, folks, but this is a part of the show where old married men explain to you what married life is like sometimes.
We just randomly go off on tangents and lose our fucking mind.
Because my therapist and my insurance didn't work for about 3 weeks, so I'm far behind on things I need to work out of my system.
Got to work shit out. But look, hopefully you guys enjoyed the... I'd also love to see anybody that saw Flash that would love to shit on my take and say the fucking movie was terrible and they just want to disagree. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Feel free to send it in. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And hopefully everybody heard enough disclaimers that they did not keep listening through as I spoiled the shit out of it because I gave you plenty of time, so I don't really feel guilty at all about it. But Myron, that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything else?
No.
Then what's the old saying, brother? If
I do. Nothing, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I got to interrupt. Backdoor bookers, leave me alone. There we go.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing, you've got nothing. What time is it?
It's time to tap out.